What's the worst school punishment you've ever experienced? In my health class, if my teacher ever caught you misbehaving or talking with your friends during her lecture, she'd make you hold her woody she had in her bag in front of the whole class for the next 5 minutes, while everyone laughed at you. Woody was lubed up, by the way. But going back to the beginning, the first punishment we've all faced in school really had me looking straight up goofy. The traffic lights. These lights track your behavior. Green is good, yellow means you got a warning, and red means you're in major trouble. One time back in kindergarten, me and a good friend, Tyler, came to school with matching Light Up Lightning McQueen shoes, and all I wanted to do throughout the entire class period was just talk about them. And her teacher noticed this and got so upset with me that she ended up taking my card that was always on green and then put it to yellow. I was shivering in my boots, thinking that my card would stay at yellow forever, and thought that I was going to visit Mr. Belt when I got home, only to see that all cards had reset back to green when we came back from lunch. Cards may have been a goofy rule, but this next one was straight up criminal. In 3rd grade, because of the time I ate breakfast, I always had to use the bathroom around 10 o'clock in the morning during my English class, and my teacher, for some reason why, got pissed at me when I asked to use the bathroom, as she tried to punish me by not allowing me to use it during her class and said to me,
"This is the 3rd time you've asked to use the bathroom this week."
Like, why do you have a problem with a kid using the bathroom? And what's worse is that what she said to me next.
"Why didn't you use it before you came to school?"
I did, but that was over 3 hours ago. Bladders are not a one-time use. I have to use it again. Like, at this point, either just let me use the bathroom or I'll just use the trash can, because in no way this can be legal. And it's because of this punishment, I actually stopped using the bathroom for the rest of my time in 3rd grade. But going from one of the worst punishments to one of the stupidest ones I've ever seen. During one of my electronics classes, a group of kids in my class wouldn't stop talking over the teacher, and for some unknown reason, she decided that she was going to punish us all by giving us the silent treatment so we couldn't get through with her lesson. And this may have worked if we were still in the 3rd grade, but nope, we were in the 11th and simply just didn't care. When the class noticed she was doing this, another group of kids in the back of the classroom just decided to mock our teacher by dancing to a song called Ho's Mad, while the rest of the kids that didn't do anything just began roasting her like it was an Instagram Reels comment section for the rest of the period. And throughout all of the chaos in the classroom and me being right in front of the classroom, I couldn't help but just start laughing, because instead of dealing with the 3 kids who didn't stop talking, you decided to give us all the silent treatment and let the class devolve into anarchy. I was thinking to myself, was it really worth it? But going back to a punishment you'd actually see in 3rd grade, if you manage to get a red light in class, one of the punishments you'd possibly get is straight up banishment, being forced to sit in a corner or being placed on your own island. In elementary school, this was a death sentence. I remember in 5th grade, when my class went on a trip that my mom wouldn't let me go on, I got placed in a 4th grade class on an island to do classwork, and I was just sitting there all day. It was straight up torture. But things completely changed when I got to middle school, as I was begging to sit alone, when my teachers would cook up the absolute worst seating charts known to man, and now I'm stuck in a triad of menaces, and the only break I'd get from them is being able to sit alone. All I would do is just kick back, secretly take out my phone while playing or watching something, and turn the island into my own personal getaway from the madness of the classroom. But if there's anything worse than isolation, it would have to be torture, as this punishment never fails to make my hand cramp. You know how earlier I said my electronics teacher, instead of punishing the kids who interrupted her lecture, she gave us all the silent treatment? How about instead of that, you get a test? This happened in my English class during 10th grade, and we were forced to write a short essay on Fahrenheit 451 that would be counted as a test grade with only 10 minutes to complete the assignment. They had us filling out our papers like Zane filling out permission forms, and when we got them back, it didn't even look like they even read our papers, as they just circled a couple words on everyone's paper and just said, "Here you go." Like, why did you make us do this? I have other classes besides this one, and for the rest of my day, my hands are going to be more sore than Mordecai after adding one of Margaret's sweaters to his secret collection. But this was just writing in the classroom. What happens when the writing turns into a speech? Nothing gets my anxiety through the roof than my teachers yelling at me for something I didn't do. But in the other times, when the teacher has a mental breakdown, it can get pretty hilarious. Not from the teachers, but from your friends giving you the most devious stares from across the classroom. One time during one of our history teacher's rants, he ended up saying, "Enough is enough." And when he said that, Marcus turns to me with the most devious smile a human's ever made. Both of us had to control every atom in our being, trying not to laugh, and giving the class another month of after-school detention. I think we've all heard that one speech from at least one teacher.
"In my 20 years of teaching, this has to be the worst class."
Even though the the super majority of the class hasn't even breathed the moment they walked into class. But I think the speech that keeps me up at night was from my geometry class back in 10th grade, where our teacher said,
With every 5 minutes you waste disrupting the class, at the end of the year, you lose 3 months of class time.
Then it hit me. I've wasted years of my life in this prison, doing absolutely nothing. My disappointment is immaculate, and my life is ruined. But you want to know what's even worse? Getting a phone call home. And some teachers go on major demon time when calling your house. A couple kids, Ethan and Albert, in my science class back in 8th grade, wouldn't stop talking, and our science teacher had called their houses before. But this time, she concocted the absolute most diabolical phone call I've ever seen, as she decided to stop the class and call their homes right in front of us all and put their moms on loudspeaker. You should have seen the looks of Ethan and Albert's faces as they went blue, knowing fully well they weren't going to be having a good time when they'd get home. But I myself have my own story of pissing off the teachers. One time during my 8th grade music class, I was goofing off with the boys when our teacher comes over and asks us,
What time does the class end again?
Well, the thing that happened was I just figured out how to voice crack, and I responded to her saying, Ends at 12:30, and she looked at me saying,
Don't ever speak like that again.
And after joking around with the guys for the past 30 minutes, I just didn't care and replied, Okay, miss. And she got pissed
I'm gonna call your house.
before she walked away. She didn't do it, by the way, and it could be because she forgot or that she was bluffing to make me stop, but I always thought, what would have she said? Because that would have been the goofiest phone call home ever. But going from goofy to straight up depressing, we have the ISS suspension, or its other name, the absolute worst punishment you could have in school, as an in-school suspension was basically being stuck in solitary confinement. It was that bad. For some reason why, the menaces in my middle school were doing absolute speed runs, getting themselves ISS suspensions left and right. And we always heard rumors of the ISS room, but none of us have actually ever seen it. But luckily for you, and unluckily for me, I have. One time I was actually able to go into the ISS room since I was sick and had to make up a math test, and what I saw shook me to my very core as I entered the most depressing looking room of my life. Imagine getting suspended as you're trapped in this room for 8 hours a day. I don't think you're helping any of the class clowns by locking them up in here. Maybe making them worse is more like it. But speaking of prison, school loves to remind us it is one with this punishment. This is the one I hated the most, when just because a couple kids won't stop talking, we all get collectively punished, and that usually ends with us most of the time getting detention. The amount of times I've had to stay for after school detention while doing nothing is absolutely criminal, especially in middle school, where it was like this every week. The only thing I take away from this is that school is a prison, and I hate my time here. What has your experience been like with school punishments? Leave a like, subscribe, check out this video on your screen, and I'll see you next time in the sanctuary.